That's temporary. It's only temporary.
It's absolutely temporary. It doesn't mean anything about my worth, but it's true.
No, it's how your worth is. It's not even. I don't love that analogy, to be honest.
No,
That
no,
whole
I
money
believe
and
that
worth thing.
I grew up with this understanding that money meant my worth,
Yeah.
from a very young age. And I think this is very predominant in our culture. In Brazil, you're in Brazil now, but I guess it's very worldwide. It's like when you're a child, you lie that at home you have that great toy because all your friends have it and you don't. And then you grow up and you say that you're already a manager, but you're still in internship. And then you go and take a loan to a car you can't afford just that you want to show up showing that car instead. It just becomes a thing that your worth is overcoupled with your power of purchase, and it's very collective trauma of post industrial revolution. So I like to say it out loud and hear it to myself. It has nothing to do with my worth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I go a step further and I think it might be a perversion of worth because not all worth is measured in money. And
Mm.
I think if something as simple as like the executives at Apple, I'm just picking it at random, it's not specifically about them, but any corporation, they get paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. They don't do any making. They don't sit there and make the phones or make the computers or anything like that. They're not causing the value in that way. They're organising, so they're certainly doing their thing. But why is
Mm.
that so much more than the person that's doing the make? My brain has never got around that concept. It's lost to me.
Mm. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. But anyway, that's enough philosophy. We're only going to do a whole lot more of that soon, but probably more about sex and relationships than like corporations and crap.
I see a lot in common in a way. Oh, let me change the name here. I don't want to
Hmm.
show my I don't know if your recording shows a name in here, but I don't want it.
It it doesn't have a name on my recording.
Okay. I'm anyways removing it. I don't appreciate it. There
Yeah.
we go.
Well, you know your name, so you don't need to be told
No,
what it is.
no, Nigel. Oh,
Oh
cool.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ready.
All right, let's
Okay.
get it. I have no idea where this conversation's going, and I will admit up front, I'm really sorry. I haven't actually read your book. I meant to. I've just been in the middle of
I
everything
mean,
else. So
have you been to a terrible separation, or are you through an uncoupling right
yep,
now?
I had a really
Oh, then
bad
let's read
separation.
it. Let's read it. If you're gonna tell me no, I've been married for 30 years and we are the happiest outside and inside the bedroom, then I'll tell you, forget the book. But otherwise, then read it.
Okay, and
Yes.
that's where we should start. I think that's the perfect place to start. I'm sorry, listeners, I haven't read it yet. I've been told I bloody well should, because apparently my life isn't perfect yet. Oh my god, that's a shock. And and we're joined with the lovely Eman, who is the author of Uncoupling Reimagined, Sex and
Yes.
Integrity Coach. Welcome. Let's hope this chat keeps going the way it started.
Let's start with something that it doesn't mean that your life is not doing good.
Oh, a little bit of hyperbolic talk is okay, isn't it?
Well, if that wasn't the case, I would have never written this book. So I must say, I'm actually very grateful that that wasn't always my reality.
That's fair. Well, what got you to write this book? So what's your reality that led you to the point of writing a book about what it is to be uncoupled
Uncoupling.
and what it really means?
Okay, well, there's a lot of questions in there. Let's start with what is uncoupling? Um, so there is conscious uncoupling. It's trending. It's all understanding that there is a different way to end relationships. Great. Um, Conscious uncoupling has a method in itself with some great steps that help us to go through. I came to 7 conscious uncouplings. And
Boom.
I know, I know. I had a habit of getting married. Jokes. Uh,
That's so seven, not just coupling, seven marriages.
yeah, seven wedlocks. Yeah, some of them had weddings, some of them was like civil union, but they all felt like marriage.
I was burnt out
Um,
after one. How did you go back?
no, it's like I see people who writes about breath and they're amazing at breath work. I do okay with that. Some people write about certain sports, they get into Olympics. I'm like, okay, I got into marriage, Olympics, I guess.
That is fantastic. Did you at least get to the
Yeah,
podium?
I would
Pardon
say
the pun.
so. I would say so. And the reason why is because I believe that those seven former partners are wonderful. Wonderful. Each one of them is like a golden medal, if I may.
Yeah.
And it was really great. And then it wasn't ever after. And there was a time in my life when I thought that a successful relationship means you're happily ever after. And now I see that it has nothing to do with it. Totally uncouple this idea that success means length. No.
Oh,
So there
yes.
were seven successful relationships and successful divorces. Yay.
I mean,
Really?
I guess my big question there, and it is, it's something that stirred in my mind from when I got divorced, is I had my understanding of marriage is it's once you're married, it is forever. That was how I was grown up to believe it was.
Yeah.
But so what then does marriage mean to you? Because clearly that paradigm isn't the same for you, or it changed at some point potentially. But what does
Right.
marriage mean to you?
What informed what marriage is to me is not even only what it was my experience, but also, as you mentioned, I'm a relationship coach. So I also was informed by diverse of background in relationships. And every time I studied it in theory and I read it and I learned from my clients and I learned from myself, I keep on reinforming language and reinforming the concept. And I understand it's constantly unfolding. And our generation has a wonderful privilege to be literally scratching and building history on a new way of relating, whatever it means. We had this pre-agricultural way of relating that
Mm-hmm.
was very much connected to their eros, connected to the innocence of their bodies, and really free from titles and all obligations that were coupled with relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Children belong to the entire tribe, and they all raised family together. And then post agriculture, there was a thing of hoarding and keeping in one place, and now the marriage has the responsibility to hold the oven, aka the female, and make sure that this oven is the one producing the offspring for the inheritance, right?
Mm-hmm.
um and and I really got to, okay, so what is love here is an arrangement that has some social, financial, eventually political influence. And that was how it was done in several cultures, right? Like exchange the woman for a cow, for a camel, for a farm, and little by little she became the property and he became the provider and so forth. And we are now, like fast forward to now, we are on a place where we can listen to our experience and choose our gender, choose how we connect, choose choose what serves us. But what we have in common is we are still nervous system beings, and our intimate relationship as adults, regardless of our gender, is still informed by our first imprints of attachment as children. And what that means is, it means that back in then, Your parent meant your shelter and your accommodation, and it meant your validation and your survival. And if you have not done any inner work of consciousness around this, your first intimate relationship, or all of them, if you never do the work, will, in a way, repeat those patterns. Whatever internally felt, whatever safety came from this. And another point, when you're talking about pre-agriculture, tribal, whatever means it was, we had many roles and a whole community for those roles. And when we became this nuclear family, your partner is likely 300 roles in your life. Is your caretaker
Yeah.
when you're not well? Is your only confidant? The only cheerleader? Is your, has so much of pressure to hold all roles in one person, and as well as parent. And now when you have these gazillion roles in one relationship, and then you add parenting still within this, and then add post-industrial revolution pressure of supporting your own shelter and food and feeding, and then the whole pressure of what status you need to achieve and what you need to own. And then, I mean, it's really doomed to failure if you will follow. And then came the whole thing of, oh, now there is no longer arrangement. We also need to, in the midst of all of it, figure out how to do this by love. What does it even mean? So it became a lot,
Well, yeah,
and
I mean,
it's not natural.
there's a lot that you've said there that we can. Oh, we could have about 10 podcasts based just on that alone. There's so much there. All right, I'm going to try and go through them in order. I may forget some of the things I wanted to say. Okay, so part of part of the what is marriage to you thing that I wanted to explore is if if marriage doesn't mean the same as it did, why do marriage? Why not just be a couple and and be together for as long as it's together, and then when it doesn't work, you go and you uncouple and you go your separate way. So that's my
Right.
kind of first question is why would you why not you specifically, why would anybody with the philosophy of I'm here for while it's working for me? Because relationships are that like friendships, they come and they go. And they're in for a moment or they're in for a lifetime, and we never know which it's going to be for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do we hold on to the system that was from the past, effectively, from a past way of thinking, instead of just going, okay, let's just not worry about those titles and all the rest of it. Why don't we just have this coupling and let it be what it is? We're a couple, and that's it. It doesn't have to be marriage. It's just a curious question I've got about the psychology behind that.
Right. Um, yeah. Labels, it will be very cultural, right? It's a marriage, a
Mm-hmm.
civil union, it's just we living together, whatever it is. Um, but what I'm gonna address in this is we have to remember that we were born inside our grandmother. We still carry a lot of consciousness and awareness in our bodily memory of two generations behind. So our mind may have understood this broad spectrum of now that we have all
Mm-hmm.
this freedom and that we can really choose, and we can do it by convenience or by whatever is our meaning to do this togetherness. Yet we are not fully there. A lot in our transgenerational being is it's still in two generations behind, where I don't know what it was like for your grandparents, but for my grandparents it was very much still that, hey, we have to make it together for the parenting, and this one takes care of the house and this one takes care of the labor. There
Yeah.
was still this assignment very heteronormative and very post-industrial revolution, very financial necessity, right? There wasn't really a choice. So I would say, yes, we do have a choice, but we are still following some ancestral memory of how it had to be.
Okay, I can work with that theory. That makes sense. I
Okay.
like the idea of you saying we're in transition effectively. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's a
Look at
transition
how,
from past cultural collective thought about it to a postmodern collective thought about it, which is just a jumbled mess for a lot of people because nobody knows where they stand at the moment. And that's what
yeah.
happens in transitions. It's a mess.
That's the beauty of the unknown, of the understanding of the unfolding. It really takes us closer to our very essence, that it's never complete. It's unfolding. We're so used to this linear, everything is linear, is like in one scale, whereas in our essence, in our soul level, that's in a spiral and it goes in layers. And whenever we are in relationship, somewhat, this is a place where we find that safety and that intimacy allows our worst fears, our traumas, everything to come to surface because you're finally safe enough to open the Pandora box. And what comes from there that can now be an activation that we can track back to integration. Okay, I went to very trauma technical there. Let me see what I mean here. Is in we have this understanding in attachment trauma that every time there is an activation in the nervous system, in the body, we have the opportunity to now follow sequence and integrate. So in other words, in plain simple English, you heal your trauma.
Yep.
And this is so easy to do in intimate relationships because it's the whole thing of what it will rewire what got ruptured during caretaking. So the role that your caretaker had on you is the same role that your lover has. And now in this intimate space, you have the opportunity to reenact on a place that you now have the autonomy, the agency, the maturity, so you can bring that trauma to present moment,
Mm-hmm.
empower yourself because now you have a body capable of it, be witnessed in that, which is the point of integration and connection,
Mm-hmm.
and that adds to the growth of your relationship. In other words, when you relate in this purpose of bringing integration to any rupture, any trauma that you have had during your developmental years, your attachment work so that you become more whole, more integrated. Your lover is this wonderful mirror that will bring several ruptures, and in each repair, you became closer to the very essence that your mighty, powerful essence, your purpose on earth itself. Relationships is potentially intimate relationships, a place where we can heal our traumas, do our spiritual awakening, grow and expand, and as well as bring heart coherence back to the planet, one rupture at a time. So, yes, couples do fight and do repair. And yes, that's better for the whole planet.
I've got some slightly different theories on that. Maybe I'm
Okay.
coming from a different point of view. So for me, I see relationships of any sort, but intimate relationships most especially, as basically these places that amplify all of the trauma about a particular thing within us. Because the closer we get connected to somebody, the more they touch our trauma buttons, the harder they feel like they're pushing them. They feel more real, more big, more more present. If it's just a distant acquaintance that says something to us, we can whatever. But if it's our lover that says or does something that hits those buttons, it's this huge thing. It's hugely amplified. So as a place to transform yourself and heal your traumas, I definitely can see that. But it's also a place that can cause trauma if it's not done with wisdom. I know some of my trauma was exacerbated through relationship, and some things were healed through relationship. So there's been both of that for me.
Yeah.
And there's also a if we're not particularly healed already, so we're all broken people. Everybody is broken at some level or another, as in we all have some kind of trauma. I don't know anybody that's been able to release every single trauma in their life. I certainly haven't, and I've been doing this for a while.
Same.
And when we go into a relationship, we go in slightly broken, and in that breaking, we're pushing our bullshit out onto other people, and they're pushing their bullshit onto us. And that there's, I think the moments in between the relationships are really important to still heal yourself. So healing in a relationship, absolutely possible. Hurting yourself in a relationship, unfortunately, also possible. But for us to grow, we also can grow when we're on our own, in those spaces in between, in those gaps between relationships, so that when we go into the new relationship, we don't have the same pattern. Because a lot of people will repeat patterns over and over and over again in relationships, and maybe eventually go, oh fuck, I got it now. Maybe they're third or fourth or 27th one in.
Right. I believe we are saying the same thing, but we are adding different meaning to different words. But please
Mm.
finish what you're saying.
Um, oh, it was just that. It was just a different way of coming about it. So I feel like I know what you're saying, but I
Mm,
tend to try and pull things back to my reality of everything's not always good. Sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes relationships will cause pain, and they may pull you back a step before you can go forward a step, if that makes sense. Just depends on how we react to any given situation. Because every
right.
situation is an opportunity to go through that trauma and get to the other side and release it, or to double down on it and make it feel worse, more painful, more untouchable. It's a choice we have.
I hear you. I hear you, Nadia. I would like to explain what I mean with certain terms because I
Mm-hmm.
have a feeling we are saying the same things, but we in our choice of words, it seems that we are antagonic, but I don't think we are. So
Yeah, I
let
don't think we are. But yeah, bring
yeah, I
it.
don't
I
think
love
we are.
it.
So let me go with the terms, right? One term that I want to bring in is trauma, since this is literally on my camp, on my field of expertise. So, trauma for me and for you, listener, that may have not heard this yet, it's very much on the animalistic way on our nervous system, is that survival stress cycle that got stagnated somewhere. So let's get out of relationships just to make something really simple. You had a car accident, and then you were not able to get out of the car, and you were with your sister, and your sister got out of the car. And then after the car accident, you could never drive again, and you always repeating that scene of the crash in your head, whereas your sister carried on life like nothing happened. So the trauma wasn't the event. Both of you were through the same. Neither of you got injured, but one of you got traumatized. So the trauma basically means you didn't have the opportunity to complete the stress cycle because
Mm-hmm.
your sister had the opportunity to do the bodily fight, right? As if it was a lion, if it was a bear, she fought it and she was out of it. Whereas you fainted, and by the time you woke up, you were fine in the hospital with mommy, and you didn't have your own response. So that is what I call trauma, not the event itself, right? So you could
Mm-hmm.
have got, for example, a very classic way to get a child sexual trauma is by shame. You got out of the bathroom, you forgot to put your flyer up, and everybody mocked you. Shame was registered on your pelvis because you clenched it in that shame. And now, boom, boom, you got a sexual trauma. Oh my God, how can I have a sexual trauma when I was 6 and nobody touched me? Well, your body assimilated it in the pelvis and it didn't complete the movement. It kept clenched. And then you might find yourself having pelvic floor issues when you're in your 20s and you don't even know why, but your body remembers. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with the story, it's in the body. And trauma in relationship with your caretakers is not necessarily that mommy and daddy will suck. It's more a circumstance, right? So, for example, you may have got traumatized because your mom went to give birth to your sibling and was a very fast time that mom wasn't there when you needed. And you cried so much, and your auntie is holding you wearing a lavender essential oil. Now, one day you're taking your beautiful wife to an anniversary. You love her so much. Sex is the best ever. And then she decides to wear lavender essential oil on that day.
Oof.
You have no recording of it whatsoever, but it
Mm-hmm.
really triggered your trauma. You felt in that moment you're going to be abandoned. Everything in you told you she will leave you. And you have no idea why. That's a trauma
Mm.
because something wasn't completed. You wanted to find auntie and run to catch mommy. You wanted your fight and flight, right? You wanted to have a response, but you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't because it's an unescapable attack. Auntie is massive and mom is gone, right? So now with your wife, you might not understand why for the next couple of months you guys just can't seem to be well. Nothing in your body feels safe around her. You may not be able to hold an erection when you're around her anymore, and you don't know why. And now it become many stories because you're adults, right? If you're not tuned with your body, it's maybe because your gift on the anniversary wasn't good enough for her, or she thinks that's because she gained a couple of pounds, she couldn't wear the same dress from the engagement date, whatever stories,
Yeah.
right? So in this is one example in how in an intimate relationship, it came to surface a trauma, not a terrible thing anybody did, but it's in your body as she will leave me, she will abandon me, she doesn't love me anymore. And that needs to be completed. You need to have your fight, you need to have your flight so that it can be completed, the cycle. So I do not like to call it trauma healing. I use the term because it's understood, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to call it integration because the integration is that part of you that got lost, the part of you that was, I'm not good enough, mommy doesn't love me, have the opportunity to come back and integrate with the whole of you, to remind your whole that you are lovable. It's
Mm-hmm.
now triggered because your soul has chosen your mate and chosen your job and chosen everything in your life to reenact this, to bring back home those lost selves. So yay, soul, for choosing in our behalf. And we thought it was her, but not really. It was my soul wanted that moment of that
I'm
anniversary.
sure her butt had something to do with it, but still.
And then now she's there, and you guys decide to do this consciously. And you decide to come together because you're mature, it's your 10th anniversary, you sat together and it's like, okay, I can be vulnerable in your presence. And I want to say, I've been fearing you're going to leave me. And whenever this happen, I feel this. And then you go into your body and you track this, or with your coach, your therapist, with your lover, your meditation, whenever you sat and you slow down, because trauma is so fast, so soon, that you don't have the capacity to respond. It's overwhelming. But when you have now, you're an adult, you're in a supported place, you have a loving witness that is caring only for your well-being. She is that space holder that helps you to safely slow down. And in front of her invulnerability, you have now the voice to fight and say, fuck you, I told you you're gonna leave me. And she'll be like, I hear you. That must be painful. And you go, well, and you know what? I wanted to run away. I just wanted to like take a 1 day sabbatical from this marriage and forget that you exist. But then I remember I won't because I missed you. And you guys hold the space, and then something in your body completes, because maybe on that day when auntie was holding you, you were so clenched up and so and now it's like clicking the jaw, opening your shoulder, releasing that tension, and maybe you're never gonna feel that pain that you felt for 30 years and you don't know why, because now your body completed that cycle. That part got reintegrated together, and that's it. Trauma resolution one on one. And that's what I meant.
Yeah. And when I'm hearing what you're saying, and when I'm listening to it, I'm hearing two people, like in your example, there's two people that are already elevated enough to know their own bullshit and to go, okay, I'm okay with listening, and I still will respect whatever you say. I'm okay with listening. I'm okay with being vulnerable, and I trust that you're going to listen to what I say and not kind of slam me for it. So that you've got that element of trust in what you're talking about. I think a lot of people's relationships don't have that yet,
That's the point we
and
were discussing
that's
before.
it's
We
a
were
build.
discussing before. Why the hell did you get together? Oh, I got together because both of us having our salaries together, we're gonna buy a house of our dreams sooner. Well,
No, it was her
priority there is
bar.
not doing the work. Or oh, okay. So we getting together because both of our families are friends. We
Mm.
getting together because we have an inheritance. We getting together because we are in love. So the couple that we are talking about got together because they have the whole purpose of being that safe space for each other to grow.
Mm-hmm.
That's the privilege we have in our generation. If there's a thing that you and I and him and she and people want to do now, we can. Our
Oh
grandparents
yeah.
couldn't. Mine
They
couldn't.
they they still. I guess it depends on the culture. I mean, to
Yeah.
the best of my knowledge, my parents, my grandparents got together because they chose to, not because they're. It wasn't a. I'm sure those elements came into it a little bit, but
Yeah.
to my best understanding is they were together because of what they knew as love at the time, and my understanding of love has changed constantly throughout my life. So I'm sure theirs did too.
Mm.
But so maybe that's more of a cultural thing then. Maybe just
Well,
what I understand is a
my,
little
my
different.
my grandparents from my father's side, they had to escape a drought. So what I know is love was very much informed with the land is dry and we have to survive.
Yeah, yeah, different circumstance entirely. So yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that changes things. Yes, if you're not in a relationship beginning with, I guess, love and support for each other, and that has to kind of grow effectively around all of these
Yeah,
other
no, no.
things.
What I mean is they couldn't stop and do this inner work and understand, because they
Ah,
now have
okay,
to
now I'm with you.
survive together. Not the love of them itself, but it's because by the time grandpa reaches from work and children went to sleep, they're so
Survival.
drained of the survival that they
Mm.
can only turn on the TV and forget that life exists. Because how the takes a lot of energy to do trauma integration, takes a lot of energy to sit down with each other and be like, hey, can you now tell me what's going on with you? Can you word and understand your emotional environment? And that also takes you're nourished and heard and given attention. But they very likely grew up on a farm working child labor. And then my parents grew up with emotional neglect because their grandparents didn't have words to express their inner environment. So that's what I meant. Like, we
Yes,
have the
now
privilege
I'm with
now
you.
that we can do this. Yeah.
My brain was off on a different tangent.
Yeah. Okay.
But as you said, like it's I think we're already saying similar things, but our interpretation of words is different. So it's and I love that because it's such a cool thing to explore that
Yeah.
like language can be amazing and it can bring things together, but the same language can also tear things apart if we're not careful. Because it, as much as it
I
creates
believe
meaning, if we're not careful, it creates misunderstanding too.
I believe it has a lot to do with curiosity. When we can sit in a place of curiosity and be like, I want to know what's in common here. I want to know what is that we are getting into, you know, versus they mean a threat. And what you say is threatening my identity. And my identity is what I need to survive. So, oh, enemy, unsafe, unsafe. And
Yeah.
you are not curious when you're unsafe.
No, we're in survival mode. The moment we feel that, we're in fear, we're in high alert survival. It just changes everything. So yeah, I
Precisely.
couldn't agree with that anymore. That
Yeah.
that one, there's no equivocation.
I also have, I mean, like totally in the tangent, nothing to do with what we're talking, but I really have a
Hmm.
curiosity. How many children your grandparents had and how many children your parents had?
Okay, different. So my grandparents had 4 and 3 children respectively, and my parents just two, and me
Okay.
just two.
See, a context there. My grandparents had 17.
Oh
And
my God! What do you do with
yeah,
all of them? Where do you put them?
well, her sister had 22.
What the hell's going on in your family, woman?
That was very common. All the neighbors had the same. You know, TV came very late.
So really, what you're saying is TV is the problem.
Well, in that way, now everybody has a device. Nobody's gonna make kids anymore.
Oh, this device is way more. No, it's not. It's not. Put it down. There's better things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but what I mean to say is like there is even an extra factor there to
Mm,
why many couples couldn't be together for each other's growth because they are really consumed with parenting. I mean, I live in Asia now, and this here is also very common. Whenever I say like my grandparents had 17 kids, my Arab friends, my Asian friends, they go like, oh, yeah, same.
whatever. It's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think my great grandparents had more. They were more in the sort of 6, 7 category,
Hey, don't just
if I
say seven
recall
here.
correctly. Oh, I'm so out of it.
All the listeners that have Gen Alpha at home, they know what we're talking about.
I do what I can. You know what's funny though?
Yeah.
I have no idea what the hell it means. I know everybody laughs at it, but I know I'm old because I don't know what the hell it means.
It was an interview of a basketball player, and they
Yeah?
asked his height, and he said something like 6 or 7. That was it.
Oh, yay.
I know. It means nothing. Yeah, and just want to get back to earlier when you asked me what got me to writing this book, and I said
Hmm.
because I went through a lot of uncoupling. It's not only about that I went through a lot of uncouplings, because back in the first, second, third time I did my uncoupling, nobody knew what conscious uncoupling was. So I was following my intuition. I was following my my best resource, my higher self, whatever you want to name it. But you know, those are really difficult days. Days you go through a lot of pain, and those are days that you're not the best, like not very well resourced. And then I went out there trying to read. I'm a nerd. I try to read everything I can to get out of situations. By the time I was on my first uncoupling, I was actually a volunteer in a bookstore. So I was like eating up all the relationship sessions. I was like, there were days I read 2 books during my duty because I was really obsessed. I'm like, I must find on this page as a solution to save my marriage. And I'll say, I found a couple of books that could be supportive,
Hmm.
but they were writing to people that were in a place to take. And I was not. I was in a place of
Yeah.
survival.
Yeah.
And I just dreamed to get a book there that would be like someone who did it, who is on the other side, without pointing finger, compassionate, without saying that it's only from part of a certain set of belief or a certain religion it's gonna work, without pointing a finger at me because, oh my God, you're divorced and something is really wrong with you. And someone that is like, can you be conversational, come from a place of expertise? Can you use a really minimal vocabulary because I was damn learning English? And can you please help me with practical things because your theory will do nothing when I go back home?
Yes.
And and then by the time I went through my next uncouplings, I had already kind of figured out a formula. So I got so confident because I don't think it's only about uncoupling. It's about how the hell were you brave enough to get in again? And I would always tell my friends, it's so easy to get out. And I get to be even better than I was before I got in. And we have such beautiful relationships. I had a terminal disease by the time I was on my coupling five, and all my former lovers got together to make sure that I get well because I had no bad blood. And I was like, people would always make the joke of like, oh, imagine all your exes together in a room. And I'm like, yeah, party. It's awesome. It's awesome. They have so much of respect and they have really grown so much and they got even to become friends, even though they are different cultures, different religions and all. And I was like, I think I'm onto something here. But it took me another
Hmm.
two uncouplings to actually realize that I had a formula that really works. And that really helped me to be confident on my next relationship because I figured out this is literally leading me to the best version of me and them. So why not?
Okay, I need to know more. You've stoked the beast. Now you got to give us some tips, just some basics, like yeah, just some basics. What are people doing wrong when they're uncoupling? I guess is a really good place to start. What because you're coming at it from a new paradigm, a new place, a place where
Yeah.
everybody wins. It's like a mutual benefit to everybody in the uncoupling, which
Yes.
is just a wonderful thought. If more people thought like that, oh my God, the world would be a different place. Um,
Abs-
what is it that most people in your eyes are doing poorly when they're uncoupling?
Yeah. Um, I will go to a background here that I believe if you have you done Vipassana, if anybody has done Vipassana before, there's of Goenka Ji. There's a moment when Goenka Ji says in one of the lectures during Vipassana that you don't love anyone. And he says this sitting next to his wife. And he says, you don't love anyone. Nobody loves anyone. This is all a lie. You only love yourself. And I remember going to Vipassana, and my former husband was on the other side of the hall. And when Goenka just said this, he looked at me like, "You always say that, you know," because it's so true. We don't love anyone. We only have one relationship, and that relationship is with ourselves. And any
Hmm.
other relationship is a projection of the internal relationship. So
Yeah.
when people go through uncouplings, what they do is they will point fingers and think that the reality outside is happening outside. And I think this is the root of how it goes wrong. When you understand that anything is happening outside in your relationship is actually happening inside of you, then and only then you are not a victim. You are not a perpetrator. You are not a hero. The drama is over. And all you find is compassion and love.
Hmm. Yeah.
And now, and only now, you're able to look at grief in the eyes and be genuinely grateful that you finally have the opportunity to sit with the pen that belongs to all of us as humanity. But through this rupture, that collective pen became yours.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the opportunity to sit with the wisdom of it without a personal attachment. And then pain is not suffering. And grief is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side of it somehow ends many types of addictions. Through this process, myself and my clients were able to get over addictions we didn't even know we had. For example, corrective lenses.
Mm-hmm.
Corrective lenses is an addiction. And I needed glasses for 16 years. And now I have a vision a way better than 2020. And this is one of the gifts from uncoupling, from understanding that we narrow our senses, our perception.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbalanced with our proprioception. Within our nervous system, there is an unbalance of foresight, hindsight, insight. And we have issues with our smell, our tasting, our touching, our perception of the world around us, and we call it allergies, breathing issues, eyesight issues. But all this is just mechanisms that your wise body found to titrate, to diminish the world that reaches you, to
Mm-hmm.
keep it at the size of your narrow capacity to handle so that you survive. But once you embrace the grief that is us all, it belongs to us all, the collective,
Mm-hmm.
and you allow yourself to take space and expand and do this together, because it's not only yours, this grief is ours. It became
Mm-hmm.
yours through the rupture, and in this case the rupture is the divorce. In this place, forgiveness, health issues, depression, mental illnesses, they literally have no longer space in your life, because you have raised your frequency. You have found a deeper sense of your essence. You have embodied more parts of yourself. You have reached a place that is so close, or much closer to that wholeness that you are, that you can do nothing but be grateful for grief. And I kind of look forward for it again.
You're a sick woman, but I get where you're coming from.
It comes in a different way, you know. One day is through the divorce, another day is you lost a competition, or another day a loved one passed from this realm. There is always something. Grief is a gift for us, and when we learn to embrace this, it's a kind of thing that you resist and it persists. The more you run from it, the bigger it is. And it's the same thing with this pain that becomes suffering when you run from it. On the day
Mm-hmm.
that we embody it, ah, you know,
The,
sometimes it can take us more than 70 years to hold an emotion. And if you embrace it, it will stay in your body for seconds before it alchemizes. How fantastic is that?
it's crazy.
Candace Candace Perth wrote beautifully around it. If anybody's interested to know more, I really recommend her books. Um, yeah, so there's so much of science to prove what I'm saying, but basically, everything you're resisting, including emotions, especially grief, it takes so much of our energy. And then we end the relationship, and our next relationship repeats the same patterns, because all this is within, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all holding this citadel, holding this structure, this fortress to protect us from this pain that we don't want to live. And then on the moment we do, why would you have an army if you will never fight anyone? Because fight is a survival energy That's what the original peoples, the indigenous peoples, always knew, and we
Mm.
know this in a fractal on the collective as much as within our internal dynamics.
Yeah, I love it. You use very different words to what I would use, but it's beautifully put. And I'm I'm really curious because my experience of my breakup, my relationship was very much a lot of blame, a lot of shame. So it was very much pushing it out there and not taking any of it inside. And it took a lot of years for me to really understand, probably from a different point of view, like that it was about me. I think I still have some attachments to it, weirdly enough. I don't have any, like, there's no huge emotions about it or anything anymore. So there's no like big attachments, but there's still some beliefs that have probably been implanted from back then that I'm holding on to that I might not be aware of, and they're colouring my vision of the world as it is now, which is always interesting, but you don't know it until you notice it, which is kind of funny. I'm
Yeah.
Because I'm wearing my glasses, I'm especially curious because now you made me think, what am I diminishing in my sight? How the hell did you just get corrective lenses to no longer be a thing? Is it just feeling, letting go? There's got to be more to it.
You know,
It sounds too good to be true.
it is absolutely true. Again, I'm that nerd is constantly reading, and I always have books to recommend. So if the reader has the same questions, of course I will talk about it, but just
Mm,
putting it out there. If anybody wants to go deep on this, since it's a little off my scope of competence, it's only my personal experience. I would say read Jacob Lieberman.
mm-hmm.
He has this beautiful book, Take Off Your Glasses and See, and he also has Luminous Life. Both of those books would really explain a lot about it. They are
Okay.
amazing. And there is Master Mantak Shia that has one of the Taoist principles in how to use your sexual energy to heal your eyesight, which again were part of my process. So yes, yoga for the eyes, sexual energy to heal the eyes, and the whole idea of open focus. Yes, but I would say it's deeply this thing of if we have short sight,
Mm-hmm.
it's that we don't want to see what is far.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm okay with my vocabulary here because we have very different names in Portuguese, as you know. But if it is a long side issue, you don't want to see, you only want to see what is close to you that is
Yeah.
safe. So it's basically, is there something inwards that you are trying not to see, or it's something outwards? In Metaphysical Anatomy by Yvette Rose, who has an entire system and lots of books about it, she also addresses that from different lenses. So you want to do this from Taoism, you want to do this from ophthalmologist sites like Lieberman, or you want to do this from metaphysics from Yvette Rose. In all, those are just different modalities that work with this beautiful nervous system that we carry, where we dwell, and is if you are not seen, it's because what you can see is what your body can handle in safety.
Oh
And I
God,
believe
let's just
that
throw these
as
away.
I believe as I had the opportunity to widen my window of tolerance, that's the name in the trauma world, that's how we call this. I had the
Mm-hmm.
wide every time I'm working on wider window of tolerance,
Mm-hmm.
then my body has more capacity. So I see more, I hear more, I taste more, I touch more, I have more sensibility. And I love to work the sensual arts and the sexual arts and the sexual energy to support this work. So I basically work in trauma work through sex
Hmm.
because I go through this erotic and sensual reawakening of our body within the process of widening our window of tolerance at the pace of my slowest part of me, borrowing from the internal family system parts work.
Okay, there's a lot there. I I want to explore. Can you re-say that last part, the part where you say going from your slowest place? Didn't fully
Yes,
understand
absolutely.
that.
Okay. So coming from internal family system, they're not the only ones who have these lenses, but just putting a name out there for the ones who are curious to know more. I'm always like putting something there for the curious ones.
Definitely.
But there's a parts work, right? Parts work is a part that understand that what we call thinking is a process of our inner parts talking. From Tantra, we understand that our parts have consciousness, each one of our parts,
Hmm.
and just not going the rabbit hole there. So in
I love a rabbit hole.
let's let's just come from the concept that we have many parts,
Hmm.
right? In a child, our mature self, our whatever, okay, our parts. Now, putting that all of our parts are together, imagine yourself going on this beautiful hike. You're going to hike to have this point of view to the beach from the sunrise. And
Sounds
then
good.
all your parts are doing this together. Okay?
Hmm.
So you have a part of you that is youthful, athletic, and way before the sun rises, he's already sitting there chilled. And then you have a part of you that he is 90 years old and he's like really bringing in the crutch and making his
Come on,
way there.
buddy.
And you have a part of you that is so depleted by all insecurities. Oh my God, there is a snake. Did you hear that sound? And he walks so slow because he's so hyper alert, right? He's on his in your on a sympathetic. And then you
Hmm.
have your parasympathetic who is going like, can we just rest, right? And you have all your inner children going on as well. And then you have the crawlers. They can't walk yet. And, you know, by the time that crawler reaches the viewpoint, the athletic guy is already chilling at home after lunch. So all your parts have very different pace.
Hmm.
And in our personal development and in our life, many of us, at least I can talk for myself, have that tendency to choose what is the best part for something. So if I'm going to hike, I'm going to take only the athletic part to go up there. And if I'm going to do an academic thing, I'm going to take in only the nerd. Fuck everyone else's. If I'm going to the relationship, I'm just doing that efficient in relationship part of me that really rocks that juggling of being the lover and being the housekeeper and being the event manager and all this. And what happens is once in this conversation, you mentioned that we all broken. And I disagree absolutely.
Ooh, I
I
love it.
believe, I believe that we have all those parts. And when we do things with only some of those parts and others are ostracized, we live the reality as if we were broken, but all the other parts are just hidden somewhere within our ecosystem, our internal parts, and we are whole by essence. And if we don't integrate them all, we walk around missing parts, aka broken.
Broken.
So
Hmm.
in relationships, we show up their way because, if I come across to my husband, let's be very heteronormative. I'm very queer, but let's just be very hetero here. And I come to my husband and I'm like, I don't want to tell him that I'm really into his young sister because, I know it's disgusting and I know it's so wrong. So I take that part of me that is not morally accepted and I
Hmm.
never take her to a family holiday. And I would definitely not take her to our bedroom. And God forbid I ever be gracious, courageous enough to even admit she exists. And then I will look at the Epstein files or DDs and I'll be like, ew, pedophiles. Oh, I'm so much better than this. I'm a trauma in relationship expertise. Those parts of me not being on board give me the understanding that I'm not good enough. Because if
Hmm.
people knew that those parts exist, they wouldn't believe that I'm good, because I don't believe that I'm good, because my internal relationship denies my shadow, because I
Yeah.
hide that motherfucker in the bedroom. Because how can you dare? His sister's a teenager, girl, you're well married, right? But it's all there because our nervous system doesn't have a story. The
No.
prefrontal cortex and our story maker came after our late 30s. It didn't even exist there. We didn't have any story. It's just what it is. I do see that teenager, and that's all hypothetical, by the way, but I do see that teenager, and I'm like, ooh, but I will never bring it. Okay. So, what I'm saying here is, if I trying to climb that, if you trying to climb this, only taking the athletic part of you, you will never be the fullness of you, the
Hmm.
wholeness of your essence on that sunrise ever,
Yep. I hear you.
unless one day all of Nigel's, the entire Nigel community, together with the crawler, collectively at the pace of the slowest part, probably the baby,
Bloody
do that
baby.
hike together, do that hike together. And only
Hmm.
then you are in full wholeness, which I would say is the antonym, the opposite of broken, the
Yes.
full, the wholeness, the integrated version of you. You are now on the bedroom with your lover, on the family
Hmm.
gathering with your mother, on that peak point watching the sunrise or perhaps
Hmm.
sunset because it was slow.
Baby's gonna baby. What are you gonna do?
Yes. So this is what I mean here. This is what I'm saying by the parts. And I think
Hmm.
one of the things that makes relationships, either coupling or uncoupling, being so complicated is because every time our lover, who is the closest person to us, triggers one of those parts of us that are disowned, we point a finger and we hate them. So if anytime I'm with my lover and he says that he feels very uncomfortable when I'm hanging out with his sisters, I will be like, you are such an asshole. You could appreciate me. I make your sister's favorite food and I wake up 3 a.m. to do this. And I go all the morals, all I choose, all the you are not good enough, therefore I am better than you,
Yeah.
rather than taking on the mirror and being like, in your deepest wisdom and in your mirror of me, you just gave me an opportunity to own a part of me. And I may never be brave enough to own it in front of you, but I will sit on my next meditation time, or maybe now, with her, and it'll be like, hey, girl, I've been disowning you. You are a lustful pedophile, and I love you. And you know what? When I'm around his sister, it's not a great place for you to take the lead, but you still cast in my theater. You just don't take the stage. And trust me
Yeah.
as the director of our lives, because there will be moments where I'm going to cast you, even if it's a BDSM with my lover. But there will be a moment I'll cast you. All of you will be alive so that I can live full aliveness.
Mm. I love it. I love it. Especially in that you've made me think about how I use words just then. Like that whole thing. I love the way that you put it. I think it's a really great way to explain that to people. But by the fact that you pulled me up with my wording, makes me go, oh crap, yeah, because I wasn't. my belief is that we are whole beings, but using the word broken fits much more easy into societal conversation. So thank you very much for just showing me that. It's quite lovely, and it'll get me to think a bit more as well, which is always good. I love that.
And that's the reason why I don't use heal. Because in the moment I use the word heal, I'm assuming that people are sick. And I don't think we
Mm,
are. I think we are integrating the parts of us. And I really believe and trust that wisdom. There was some time in our conversation that you said that wasn't known before, but now it's known. And I go like, yes, on the moment that you now have the awareness of it, it means that now is the right moment to integrate this. If you have known this 5 minutes or 5 days or 5 years ago, you weren't ready then. If we
yeah.
ever go climbing, you know that the first thing they tell us is 3 limbs. You only climb with one, move one limb at a time. The other 3 limbs stay stable. This
Hmm.
is climbing. And this is how I see personal growth. I go there and I'm like, I need to fix this, I need to fix this, I need to fix this, I need to fix this. I'm not gonna fix nothing. I'm just gonna keep on the loop, the addiction to think I'm not good
Oh,
enough. Rather, I will be like, I'm aware all of them, and I will move one limb at a time in trust, in real trust in the flow of life that I'm part of by unfolding. That on the moment that awareness came to me, it's because this is a moment I can integrate it. And once
hmm.
this part is integrated, I move the next limb, even if it's slow, because there's no
Yeah,
hurry for anything. We are unlimited.
yeah. I love it. It's a beautiful way of putting it, and it does help people to see that a lot of what goes on is chasing our tail. It's like it's like we're dogs, and there's something on our tail. We see our tail and we keep chasing it around and around. We never quite get there because we're always worried about the next thing instead of living in the moment and feeling that moment when it's time to integrate. So yeah, beautiful. Um, all right, I'm going to pull it back a little bit though. Now that we're all ready to start integrating, because everybody's getting all these downloads, they're ready to go. Boom.
Okay.
You were talking about that one of your personal techniques. I don't know if it's also what you coach is integration through sex.
Yeah.
Can you go? Let's deep dive on that.
uh, right. So there's a thing. Um, I was an actuary scientist once upon a time.
Hmm.
And from actuary, I had this moment of turning into a sex coach. And I went on to study trauma and coaching and sex and tantric arts and all to change my career. And on the beginning, I was really doing everything that worked for me. And now after publishing the book, I I realized that is something that I'm really great at, and I'll be of better service if I work only with that.
Okay.
Okay. So I have experience and I've done a lot of work with sex to all genders in different ways, and I still do. But where I'm going now is I want to specifically support people who are going through uncoupling breakups to take this as an opportunity to bring in their wholeness, bring in their parts back together, do this inner work of doing their trauma integration, of slowing down through sex. So a lot of my work is with self-pleasure. If you
Hmm.
go to my colleagues and we're doing somatic experiencing from, for example, or embodiment, any somatic work, it will be about grounding back on your bodily sensations and will be about coming back to your body and slowing down.
Hmm.
I will do that to people who are going through an uncoupling or have been through a tough one and still couldn't come back to their best version of themselves through self-pleasure, so that sex brings them back to their bodies,
Yeah.
and sexual energy revitalizes their internal organs and reawaken their glands and open their clairvoyance and resensitize their perception, all their senses, and they can embody that deep essence of who we are by doing breath work and self pleasure and sexual exploration. And one reason why is because a lot, at least in my experience of relationships, that there were people coming to me and myself with breakups, their sex wasn't doing okay anymore. And when they go back to the next relationship, there is something there that they're trying to make up or don't know where to go or want to repeat the same patterns, and somehow they find themselves in the same place. In sex, in that safety of intimacy, all our traumas and insecurities and vulnerabilities come up. So why
Oh, yeah.
not to use a powerful moment to integrate it together or solo? You can be more direct on your questions. I'm not quite sure if I answered you.
Oh no, you've given me something. So I like where you're going because I can see. I do some somatic work myself, and I can see how the act of self pleasure can certainly bring you back to your body, and it can force you to just be aware of your body, which a lot of people forget how to do sometimes. So as a basic step, that alone just makes perfect sense to me.
That the whole thing of um dissociating from self to not sit with our inherent pain makes within the sex scenario is I will touch myself with porn. I will fantasize when I'm with someone else's. I will orgasm choose something else's than me. And my sex will be about someone else's than myself. And that tells me how you run your business, your finances, your internal relationship, your everything in your life. I always say the way you breathe, the way you have sex is the way you live. It's all one.
Ooh, I'm going to copy that line because that sounds great. The
It's
way you have sex
exactly
is
the
the way you
same.
live. Boom.
It is. It is. The way you have sex is the way you live. You are rushing to a goal. Show me your career. I'm sure I'm going to see that on your CV. Oh, you just want to please the other, and that's how you get your pleasure. Ah, tell me about your self-love. How is that going? How is your receiving versus your giving? How much you own your own boundaries? How much you know them? Oh, sex is not that important to me. Do I need to say something?
Oh, please.
How important,
Everybody
how
wants to know.
important are
Come
you
on.
to yourself, you know? Yeah. So it really is. And you know what? It's our body, right? So I have this thing that it really intimidates people, but I really consider myself a sex expert. And I can watch someone having a meal and I know how they have sex.
Really?
And I
Okay.
haven't been wrong.
Okay, we got to have a meal because I just want to go to a restaurant and have you tell me how everybody has sex. That would be hilarious.
And I
I would
don't
just
want to
love
sit
it.
here. I don't want to sit here as the judgmental one. This is not the point. This is more like to show you a mirror so that you find different ways to be self-aware. Because as I said before, you only get to know something when it's time for it to be integrated in your body,
Yeah.
integrated in your life. So if you have done sex this way for 99 years and you have 5 hours left to live, If your last sex is the best in your life, well, great death. There is no late way to do this. It's never too late. That's what I mean.
Yeah. No, you've got me fascinated with how people eat now. I'm going to be watching people go, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean?
There, watch how
Just,
you eat.
but from pure curiosity, I eat in crazy different ways. Sometimes I take my time and just very slow and I just savor every bit. Sometimes I rush.
Are we
Sometimes I'm
talking about the
sloppy.
bedroom? We were
You
talking
tell
about the
me.
bedroom, right?
No, I was actually talking about food, but
I'm sure you got my point.
yes. That's cool. Okay, I'm never going to look at people eating the same way ever again. Thank you very much for that. Family meetups are going to be weird from now on.
Oh no, it's doing so good. Oh,
Classic. Love it. Okay, so I guess for anybody that's listening, aside from getting into contact with you, of which all your details are going to be in the description below for anybody watching, and your book is also there, um, Uncoupling Reimagined, if anybody needs to remember what it is. So you've got two formats. So self pleasure, and from what I'm gathering, if I'm reading between the lines right, you're talking self pleasure almost like a meditation.
sex is meditation in motion. Hello.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
You slow
I,
down, you go deep inside, you change brain frequencies, you connect to another realm, you embody the divine you are, self-realization. Hello. Sex is meditation. What are we talking about here?
I'm a bit slow on the uptake. Okay, come on. I
Oh,
just
this
thought
is so
sex was
good.
for fun. I mean, jeez.
This is good.
It's it depends on your definition. I've had moments of sex where it feels like this undescribable thing. It just unparalleled beauty, and I don't even have words to describe it. And I've had sex where it's very mechanical and not a whole lot of fun. As far as sex
You're
goes, I
still
mean, sex.
you're describing my meditational life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sometimes I just sit there and then by the time it finished, I'm like, was it? Ouch, my butt. And sometimes, and sometimes I go into psychedelic like trips, like I'm on mushrooms, but pure sober, just because a gland was activated and I'm really seeing the space, and I totally lost time and direction, and I'm one with everything that is, just like sex.
Okay. So it's not a case of every time you go there you're going to have these rapturous moments necessarily.
No,
Is that what I'm
I,
hearing?
I, I like
I'm trying to
it.
understand enough.
I like to say, I mean, and this is for sex with or solo, same.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I like to say, um, if you have access to the God's buffet and you can eat that divine meal, any meal you want, every meal if you want, in their presence with all these amazing things, and all you have to do is to take this path. I don't know, the rabbit hole, take that mushroom to get smaller, whatever it is to reach that buffet.
Hmm.
I can guarantee to you that every now and then you is still gonna write to your favorite fast food, even though it tastes nothing like it.
Yeah, I think you've got a really good point there. Yeah, there's something addictive about it. You just can't say no sometimes. It's just like, I
You know,
just really,
we're human. We're just
I,
human.
I know I'm not going to like myself afterwards, but
Exactly. I know I'm gonna get a headache every time I go to that specific fast food, and I don't even believe it doesn't even align with my values. But yo, I
There's
know that
something
burger
about it.
smell. There's something. Yeah, but I mean, if my highest self and my most resource self on that place when I'm really doing great, is that what I'm gonna choose for myself? Nah, I'm gonna take that place
The
and go
buffet.
to sit with the gods and have that wonderful buffet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that is very beautiful when you are in this sort of relationship with yourself to really develop this compassion, to not expect yourself to always be good, to always be the best version of you, to
Hmm.
always be, you know, what I like to tell my clients, because it's something I tell myself. I was in Japan last year, and there's like this square with these massive things there. I think we have the same thing in New York. I saw it on the movies at least, that has, you know, those
Oh, all the
massive screens
billboards
in
and yeah.
Times Square, I guess that's where it
Hmm.
is. So I like to envision that there is a CCTV, like some sort of big brother of my life on those screens.
Okay.
And on the moment, your life can be televisioned with no cuts on this to everyone you know and you don't know in your lives. And you can keep your breath, your chin up, your posture, and you do not encounter trace of shame or guilt or something in you that tells you you're not good enough.
Hmm.
That is what I call confidence, because you are walking aligned with your values. So
Yeah.
if you see me there and you see me, for example, masturbating to the teenager sister of my husband, I am aligned with my values. That is, every part of me is welcome.
Yeah.
I will not have a shame of that being caught on camera.
Yeah. To me, what you're saying there is about pure integrity. You're integral to the whole of yourself. If you
That's the
could
name of my
have,
brain. Sex and integrity. You got it.
boom.
But this
We're
is
talking different
literally what
language, but we're there.
integrity means to me. It's
Mm.
to integrate all my parts in wholeness. My teacher likes to call it the throne of the heart, because for her, it's like there's this heart throne and all her parts are there being loved by the mother heart.
Hmm.
In internal family system, if I'm mistaken, that's where I saw the analogy of a business meeting, and everyone is sitting on the big table in the workspace and everybody is listening to the manager. I came from a theater perspective, a theater background. I'm an improv actor,
I
and
did get a sense of acting out of you, to be honest. Just some little bit of flair here and there.
right. So on my background, I see myself as the writer and the director and the stage, and all my parts are cast, and I choose which one will play each scene. And whenever I see one of them with the raised hand, like, you never pick, I will find a scene that they are welcome. For
Yeah.
example, the liar, she's very welcome when I'm crossing, for example, costumes, and they are asking ridiculous things like, you know, are you vaccinated from COVID? I'm like, liar. Okay.
Hell yeah, I
So,
am.
okay. So this is what I mean is like every part of me can be welcome, because all of them are purposeful. They all belong.
Hmm.
And that's the only place where I can find that full confidence and alignment to know I belong in an embodied experience. And anytime I'm struggling with not belonging, I will look at which part of me I'm not owning at that moment. And I always find a new part.
Yeah, there's always new parts.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a more practical question. So, for anybody listening and sex, as you said, it's a place where everything's really heightened. Everything comes up. All of our insecurities and all that sort of stuff can be really heavily exposed. If people are feeling shame about certain sexual acts or processes or whatever, what is your advice to them?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Shame, I borrow from Brené Brown, that is the fear of disconnection. And the
Mm-hmm.
way to embody love is through vulnerability. So in itself is the bridge that you build back to that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean here is shame is a fear of not belonging. And that comes from there is a place in you that believes, or part of you that believes that if that is there, you are not good enough,
Yep.
right? And when it comes to sex, I mean, seriously, if you just open US news now or whatever it is, you will see it's all pedophilia and the corruption and the whole cheating and whatever else is that will bring shame to the bedroom, shame to life, shame to society. But on the moment you embody all your parts, you reconnected them.
Mm-hmm.
So now they are wired through this vulnerability of saying, I am all of this. I am perfect and I'm fucked up. I'm light and I'm darkness. I am the entire thing in this planet of polarity. And one practical way, because if this sounds like, woo woo, what the heck is she saying? And if I can bring, like, okay, if there is one way I can tell the listener how it can work in practical terms, like your sex coach telling you here for free, masturbate to and from that part. What is the part of you? Maybe you show up as homophobic, but there's a part of you that you really hope to have a gay interaction
Mm-hmm.
on the safety of your intimacy in your bedroom. Play out as you are the gayest version of you and explore what your body wants from it. Maybe you are about to have your first prostrate orgasm. Woo, good for you. Or maybe you're just about to remember some time that you may have been touched in places in times that you weren't ready for it, that build that false story that this is wrong or bad or unsafe. And you can have your grief orgasm, your fear orgasm, your sad orgasm, because in that moment you embody your sound, you embody your breath, you embody your movement, you embody every inhibited, wild, primal version of you and go for it as big as you find space for it. So if you have to be the most expensive gay you can and you end up on having the deepest cry you have, but you did this through an orgasm, this is equivalent to you walking on your hometown after being gone for 30 years and you are on that supermarket aisle and you just encountered your favorite kindergarten teacher and everything in your body goes like you are 4 years old again and you're like, yeah, you feel all these great things inside of you. Your body
Mm-hmm.
has the memory and it has no timeline. And then you enter the next row and you just saw the bully from first grade and you notice your hands is clutched, your fists are tensed, your jaw is tense, and you're like, I don't even want to shop anymore. Even if you don't remember the guy, your body does remember the whole thing. And what you just did by having that fear orgasm, that sad orgasm, that emotional liberation orgasm was to associate the experience of seeing the teacher with the memory of seeing the bully, and you alchemize safety, love, and belonging through that one orgasm. So all it got was a masturbation with consciousness, some shouts and liberation for you walk out of the bedroom, perhaps never homophobic again.
Easy as that. Fortunately, I don't think I've ever been homophobic, so I don't have to worry about that particular one. But yes, we can
Yeah.
take that into any context we want. Clearly, it's
Yes.
whatever's there. That's
Yeah,
so
but I'm just
cool.
like talking about what comes. Like I work with male bodies and men, and whenever
Hmm.
we explore shadow, the ones that come up the most are the gay
Okay.
and the fear of not performing well and the fear
Yep.
of not being the best lover of the people they love the most. These are the
That.
shadows that comes the most amongst my clients.
Yeah. Yeah. I can have. I don't have a any thing with the first one, but the other two, yeah, they are definitely mental programs that kick up every now and again. So
Yeah.
I can say I fit somewhat your typical man profile from that point of view. God damn it, typical man.
It's so average.
Oh, bloody hell. Who would have thought? I wanted to be so special.
We all are.
We are. We are. Okay, so if they're the three biggies for guys, are there three biggies for the ladies as well?
I work a lot more with male bodies than I work with female. A
Hmm.
lot. I'm basically a male coach because I'm specialized in
Okay.
male sexuality. But and also I work with queers, so people in male bodies that identify with any gender. But in
Hmm.
my experience with no with sisterhood, what I know it's very big for women is body shame.
Hmm.
It's a big thing. Fear of being caught and fear of being too expressive as to be the slut.
Ah, okay. Yep, I get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
fear of being
I,
caught, as
I
in like taken by force, sort of thing. Is that what you mean by fear of being
like
caught?
if you're a guy, because all this got informed on your early years, right?
Mm.
If you're a guy and your brother, your father, or your mom just caught you masturbating, they'll pretend never happened and walk away. But if you're a girl and you just got caught self-pleasuring, you're in trouble. And
Really?
yeah, and you're
Much
not
I
gonna be
don't know.
told to never do this again. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
you dirty bitch. Yeah.
that one blows me away because I don't get the difference. Same, same.
Yeah, you were privileged in your upbringing. Like I would say this is very colonization. There's a lot to do with the underdeveloped world, with being part of the original people, indigenous people, and it has to do with patriarchy on a more um, restrict upbringing and also to do with patriarchal religions that were brought through colonization to enforce certain cultural aspects to diminish the original culture. So there is it's very complex. I'm not gonna take this specific rabbit hole because it's out of my scope of competence,
Oh, but
but
what
it's
an
part of
awesome
my broad
conversation!
experience. But it's very much part of my blood experience, right? Like you can
Hmm.
literally look at my face and know that I'm from the woods and the forests of where I came from, Brazil.
So you say that, but maybe I don't see people the same way. Like I look at you and I.
I it's like this and then the large
Oh wait,
nose.
gotta take these off. No, you're just blurry now.
Yeah.
Um,
See? A few conscious masturbations later.
oh look, I'll be doing one later. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. I guess what are the things? So since you've written the book and it's out now, and just in December it released, so it's quite recent. Um, and you said your focus is going more just to like.
So my focus is going more into supporting people going through uncoupling
Mhm.
and the ones who want to do this work, while they're going through their divorce, their breakups, their tough ruptures, they want to do this through um, their sex, through
Yeah.
self-pleasure.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean it's a pretty traumatic time. Well, I use the word poorly, but it's a very upheaving time for people. These decouplings, because the emotions are
Yeah,
always
that's
there,
the
and
reason
so
why
it's a great time.
today I was speaking to someone who just bought and started reading my book, and this person got in touch with me, and what they said, this is very much what my intention was, which is this book was written like a great friend who happens to be a sex and relationship coach is sitting next to me, speaking in very simple language, giving me practical invitations to create my own path out of the situation. And that's literally what it is.
That's awesome. So yeah, everybody get into it and have fun in the process.
Yes, that's literally a whole chapter about self-pleasure, obviously.
Well, only one. That's disappointing.
Good point. And it's also available on audiobook. And because I work mainly with men, when I had
Hmm.
someone reading my book so that nobody has to go through this accent of mine, I invited a male speaker to read my book. So my audiobook is read by a man.
Ah, personally, I quite like your accent, but that's neither here nor there. So I don't think you
You're
should be
glad. I'm
worried
glad
about
that you
it.
can understand. I'm glad you can understand what I say. Some people need the subtitles, captions.
What? Your
Yeah,
English is
on my
flawless.
on my channel, I keep captions because I know that a lot of people misses a word here and there. Sometimes I don't announce or pronounce correctly. I learned English. I was 22.
Well, I'm learning Portuguese now, and I need subtitles in real life because no one has a
See,
bloody clue what I'm saying.
exactly. I get you. Yeah.
And it's actually weird. My current girlfriend, when we first got together, because I'm from Australia, but I'm from a particular part of Australia where we speak a little different, um, she's used to understanding American accent, but she really struggled to understand mine. Even though I speak the same language, and all right, I use a few little sayings that are a bit different,
Yeah.
but she was like, "What was that? What was that? What was that?" All the time. It's amazing how
I
that little
know.
accent change can make such a difference to comprehension. But that's a
I
whole
I
different rabbit hole.
I recently watched this. There's a documentary of 12 series about the indigenous people worldwide with these lenses of trauma,
Mm.
and it's beautiful work. And just now they had the launch of the Australian part that is about the Aboriginal people. So
Hmm.
everyone speaking are Australians, and I'm like, what? What did he just say? And then someone else is like the people who are facilitating the conversations, the producers. She's from Bulgaria and he's Italian, and that they rephrase, they mirror back what they heard, and I go like, did this guy just say that?
Welcome to Australia.
Exactly. So you understand what your girlfriend is going through.
Yeah, no, she's with me now. She gets me now. It's all good. But it
Great.
took a little while. It did take a little while. Um, all right, I'm going to start wrapping it up for us, but I would actually love to have you back on for another conversation, less about the book, but more about that rabbit hole of colonialism and all of the stuff that that's talking about. If you're happy to talk about that
we can
sometime.
and we can talk and we can talk about this alongside with emotions. A lot of what I work is to do with emotions, and I think it's something people really love to hear about, and I barely
Hmm.
spoke about it today, and it's very connected to colonialism trauma, collective trauma, and I'm a family constellation facilitator, so it's really within that.
Yes, being from Brazil, that doesn't surprise me. Constellation, I've never heard of it before I got here, and now it's like, oh my God, it's
It's
everywhere.
massive.
It is.
Yes.
It is massive. Now, I've got a few questions to wrap it up with. So,
Okay.
first one's pretty simple. If you could speak to anybody on the planet, one on one, who is alive today, who would it be and why?
Oof, who is alive today?
Hmm.
Oh, oh, Matias Stefano.
Okay, who's that? Bringing out my ignorance.
So Matias Stefano leads a team that is working on reactivating sacred places on the planet. And at the moment, his team is working on the pyramids in Egypt, and they
Ah,
work in different places around the world and around ley lines. And it's bringing he's a fantastic person. I'm a big fan. And one of the beautiful things about him, he's very much in our realm. He's very much one of us. But one of the things that is amazing about him is that he delivers the deepest soul wisdom that feels to me like from pussy to third eye, everything knows exactly what he's saying, even though I never heard it before, with this simplicity of, I don't know, like an innocent child that you met on the bus station. And I love that about him. He remembers all his past lives.
oh, okay. Whew. Yep. That
Yeah,
I don't even know if I had past lives. That's how not down that rabbit hole I am. But okay.
there we go.
So what was his name again?
Matias Stefano. And
Okay.
if
So if,
anybody listening to this want to know him and want to get me to meet him, please go for it.
you just stole my line. That's my
Perhaps I
line.
just read your mind.
I mean, that's why I try and make it so that it's living, so I can try and, if possible, in whatever way, connect people together. That, but great minds think alike. What the hell?
There we go. I actually believe that we all share one conscious mind. But again, that's another rabbit hole.
God, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to get you back for several of these conversations because that's just
Let's
how it
do that.
works.
Let's
Okay,
do
my
that.
next question comes from my previous guest. Okay,
Okay.
and so what they want to know is one thing that you would want to pass on to your 2 to 7 year old self that you have learnt or discovered or embodied now, what would it be? So one thing that you could pass back to yourself.
Yeah. One thing is tell her I will never abandon her because she cannot fuck it up. Even if she tries, it's impossible to fuck up because we are part of something so much bigger than mom, dad, sister, school, household, us, planet. We are so much bigger than what we ever understood that anything and everything we do, it's necessary
Yeah.
and we belong.
Oof. That one hits deep. I love that. I think I needed to hear that today, weirdly enough. So thank you. My younger self appreciates that too.
Yeah, my girl has heard it a lot. I have one thing that is I speak to myself in English. English is my main language now. And I have moments when things get really tough. Like right now, particularly, I'm going through one of the super difficult phase. And when I notice myself wanting to abandon her, to do that self-fulfilling prophecy that I'm not good enough, that nobody supports me. It's when I abandon me, the parts of me, and then I believe that because I project that onto the world and I get that reflected back at me. So when I'm aware of this field and I understand that I'm creating this dynamic by abandoning parts of me and making myself broken, when I come back to her, I literally hold her and I say, it's not your responsibility. I got this, but I need you to know that I cannot do this without you. We are in this together.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's. I mean, that is the integration that you talk about. It's like you're not you're not driving the ship, young self, but you are part of the journey.
when it comes to integrity, people sometimes will come and say, oh, integrity is about being honest. Oh, integrity is about not stealing taxes. Oh, integrity is about not cheating my wife. And I'll say, integrity, if all your parts are together and they're welcome, will you do any of those things? So what you're talking about is a moral consequence. But in whole, it's literally being whole. That's what integrity is.
Yeah. Yeah. I look at it as truth to the whole.
Is your deepest truth embodied.
Yeah. Yeah. And every time you step away from that, you as you kind of said before, you disown a part of yourself. Every time you step away from that integrity, there's a part of yourself that
It was
isn't
actually Carl
recognized.
Jung. Was
Pardon?
actually Carly was actually Carl Jung who said that, but you can say it was me.
Ah,
I like
you said it on
you
here,
can say
so
it was
it's done.
yeah, it was me. It was absolutely me. Hello.
Yeah. So clearly, I don't do enough reading, or I don't remember exact phrases from all the people I have read. Is more accurate. It kind of goes in, swishes around, and half of it falls out. But
It's all from one mind. So the same place where Carl Jung got it from, I got it from too. And his books.
boom. Okay, and I've got one last task for you on this one. I need a
Okay.
question for my next guest, please.
Um, wow. I don't know if you're gonna like this. My question to your next guest is what would them, him or she, what would them need to do to make a sacred union of their inner masculine and their feminine together now?
Ooh, that's a great question. Ooh.
What right now do they need to do to make that sacred feminine and sacred masculine together inside of them now?
Mm. Oh, I love it. That's a deep question. So I know you said I might not like it. I freaking love it.
There we go.
That's cool. I don't think I even have an answer for that myself yet. I'm going to have to sit and ponder that for a moment.
I think I gave you a lot of homework and for the readers too. Like if they're like me, like nerds, and they will pause and be like, I want this book and I want to find this book and I want to read this thing, they probably gonna become your next guest.
Woohoo! Bring it on. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole point of these conversations because
Mhm.
I know what I know, but I know I don't know. There's a lot I'm unaware of. There's a lot that I can understand and imbibe from other people, and even if it's just a way of talking, even if it's just a different point of view of something, and from your
Yeah.
point of view, it's quite different to the way I do things. But I love it
Mm.
because I see the parallels, but it's like totally different languages, but they work towards the same result. And I just find there's a huge amount of beauty in that.
The point of that activation of the sacred places that I mentioned earlier is really coming from this understanding that the day of Allah, Buddha, Jesus, that one person guides them all. It's over with, I don't know, Age of Aquarius, the Rise of the Goddess, whatever name strikes your fancy, the Age of AI, which is also very much part of it. It's that now we are rising as a collective within and without. And when we have these conversations, we are literally wiring back together this collective. So our tribal beings that can no longer sit around the fire on this one place and migrate to that one place, we have Wi-Fi and we can do this together from our own geographic places, making our planet a village again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the
Yeah,
beauty
I will
of.
end here.
Yeah, leave it there. I'm just going to sit and reflect for a while. Aman, thank you very, very much for coming on. I
Thank
am
you
going to
so much.
request that you come back and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, it's 11 p.m. here. Yeah.
Oh, go
Enjoy
to
your
sleep.
Yes,
Get some
that's what I'm doing
rest.
now. That's what I'm doing now.
Thank you
Okay,
for
cool.
chatting.
Thank you.
Okay.